This idea comes from baseball too. When you're in baseball on deck, we used to put a donut on the end of the bat and practice swinging. And it gave us a sense of confidence when we got up that our bat would go faster through the ball. Um, Whether that's scientifically proven or not, people differ on it. One element that it does not measure is the confidence it puts in people that do add weight to the ball. And so what I do is I usually encourage people to swing, maybe with a racket cover on, get an old racket cover on, practice swinging. You can use the old racket. I happen to be using T2000s, 3000s, 4000s, 5000s. I have a bunch of old Jimmy Connors rackets. And so here I'm practicing right now with my backhand, practicing with a cover on, and therefore when I take off, that cover, I use a different racket, and then it's going to seem lighter. I've put devices on my racket where I put weights on my racket. If you notice that I have a weight in my racket here, and so I'm practicing swinging with the weight. They're about not even quite a quarter of a pound, but I made this little device that I can put next to the strings. It's I put a hole in the ball. That way it reminds me, the sweet spot. Our sweet spot's a lot different than it was back when we had smaller size rackets. But what I did was I just took a tennis ball here, and here I have two magnets. If you notice, I'll take it apart. I have a magnet here, another magnet here, and a bolt, and I put this through here, and then I put it through one side, right in the middle of the racket here, so it's in the center depending on where you hit. Then I put this on top of it, and so it just sticks together. So I can move the magnet around where I want to. I took a ball and I put a ball right through it here. I just drilled a hole in the ball, and then once I did that, I took another little device that I have. If I can get this true, I'll show you. It takes a moment. I take it apart, taking something apart, and so what I'm doing, I was trying to find the exact place to where. There, we'll get that in a second, and so struggling a little bit, but that'll be okay. And so I have that through, and now I take a bolt, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to, screw this in here like this, and so now I have once I get this adds about not quite a half a pound. The magnets are, like I said, not quite, they're not a half a pound, maybe a quarter pound, maybe a half a pound here, and it makes a difference. And so you can look up on YouTube, or you can find out who had the idea of putting a donut on a baseball bat, and then I practice swinging. And then if I'm practicing like this, it feels like one thing I'm definitely doing is I'm strengthening my arm. A lot of times, if you're a tennis player, you're not going to lift weights like a weightlifter. It's going to be different, okay? And so you want to be toned, but at the same time, you don't want to be so bulky you don't have the flexibility that you need to have, or being fluid and loose, okay? So this actually, just give you an idea of what I do. I like to experiment, be creative in ways I practice. And so when I go ahead back and I start swinging a racket, without it, boy, it feels a lot lighter. It's going to feel a lot of confidence that your racket's going through. You're accelerating your racket faster, okay? And I can tell it gives you, even scientifically they say, well, it doesn't help or whatever. Confidently, it does help. And so scientifically, in a different realm, okay, given confidence, it does. You can't measure everything scientifically, okay? There are things that you can't measure scientifically. And so when you think about that, would be an error in science to think that everything has to be measured in a particular way. That's faulty. It's faulty reasoning. And so I will take magnets and I'll add weight. I have this one here where I put the weight in the middle here. And if you notice, I have now it's at least probably more than a half a pound. It's maybe 3/4 of a pound. And I'm practicing, with the weight. I can adjust that weight wherever I want to. I have this right at the throat of the racket, and so I can put my hand here. And that's one thing about tennis. I notice a lot of tennis players, they don't use that extra hand. They're hitting that ball a lot of times like this, and this, they're not utilizing this extra hand, but this has helped me utilize that extra hand. So if you're playing, and whether you have two hand or one hand, you're always utilizing this extra hand. It's great for getting ready. right position helps you turn your shoulders. And so it's a great way of practicing. And so there's that weight again. I got the weight here. I can adjust it. And if I want to, I can get a little more weight. I have a cover on it with the weights here. And just a little bit heavier, okay? And so I just happen to be using a head cover on this racket. And a lot of people aren't used to covers anymore because the individual rackets don't come with covers like they used to when we were growing up with using the old wood rackets and head rackets or metal rackets. They all had individual covers. Now we have a case usually that we carry over a strap that goes over our shoulders. And so that's one way I can practice. If I want to, I can put the weight in different places. This happens to be at the top, so this would be, if I'm hitting, like this, I'm leading, okay, is bringing that racket around, but this would maybe be great for serving. That would add a lot of, weight, and I would practice serving. And so that way I can practice. I don't want to hit the ceiling, so I'm trying not to hit the ceiling with this racket. So if you're practicing home in a basement or the ceiling, please be careful not to destroy the house or destroy your ceiling, destroy fans, So you're going to have to be extra careful. You can always go on your knees. You go on your knees and practice. And that's not a bad concept too, is practicing your knees. Okay? And then you realize how much, you notice a difference. And then you stand up and you start using your legs. It makes a difference. But try to do that outside. And so I have weight in different places. And so I hope this idea helps you. It's like a baseball playing baseball, and he doesn't cock all the way back. It seems he starts right here. He finds the ball, and then he rotates his shoulders. Watch some great baseball players and notice how they achieve a lot of power, okay, using both hands. And so I encourage you to use both hands and practice, when you practice. Use two hands, use one hand. Use your opposite hands, use short racket, different ways of practicing. And so when you think about the weights, the donut idea I think is a good idea. And if they say it's scientific, you can look it up and you can look at some studies. And if it, they think they can prove everything scientifically, there's some things you can't prove scientifically. And so then you can't make measurements of this or that. And so I hope this is helpful. The old T-Tooth 3000, just an interesting racket. And I hope that this would be helpful, helping you to become a better tennis player, and also to help you to utilize some practice tips for you.